Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, April 19th, 2025. And hope you all had a great Good Friday. It's one of those days, isn't it? It does sort of polarise a few people because you can't eat meat, which is always an issue for some people, and also that nothing's open. And our business, fortunately, was allowed to open, which was great. We had a nice busy day in the bottle shop. We didn't open the pub, but we opened the bottle shop, and one of the lucky ones with the license these days that we were allowed to open, where probably 90% of bottle or 95% of bottle shops can't. So that was good. We got a bit of a free hit. So it was a good day for us. And of course, yeah, you can't eat meat. Now, I'm not religious at all, but it's something I've always done is refrain from eating meat. And we just had some vegetarian pizza and pasta, which went down well. In years gone by, it was always things like bloody fish and chips and veggie burgers and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, no, it always just makes me feel sick. So it was good to have that yesterday, and it still felt like I was having normal food. Apologies to the vegetarians out there that I'm sort of describing it as normal food, but no, it was a good day just to chill. Sometimes it's good just to shut everything down and have nothing open, so you can all just relax with family. Although that sometimes ends in tears as well, doesn't it? So anyway, on this day in boxing history, we'll get on with it. In 1973. As Neil pulls me through there, in Japan, this was Koichi Wajima defeated Ryu Sorimachi on points over 15 rounds. That was in Japan for the WBC welterweight title. That was in 1975 at the Palacio de los Deportes in Barcelona, Spain. Patricio Fernandez knocked out Brazilian João Henrique in 9 rounds to defend his WBC super lightweight title. In 1985, I used to like this guy back in the day, Mexican Juan Meza. I remember when he knocked out Jaime Garza in 1 round in a massive upset. Well, he defended his WBC super bantamweight title by knocking out American Mike Ayala, who was a good fighter as well, in 6 rounds in the famous Inglewood, California. A couple more there. In 1985, at the Forum in Inglewood again, Julio Cesar Chavez knocked out American Ruben Castillo in 6 rounds for the WBC super featherweight title. And in 2003, in Fresno, California, Floyd Mayweather Jr. defeated Dominican Victoriano Damian Sosa on points for the WBC lightweight title. And one more in 2008, Joe Calzaghe defeated Bernard Hopkins to retain the Ring light heavyweight championship. So that was back on this day on April the 19th. So last night I caught the WBC Grand Prix, only a couple of fights. I sort of come on a little bit late at night. Well, it wasn't late, it was 10 o'clock, but it's been a big day and I had better things to do. So I watched a couple of fights and then switched over for a couple of episodes of Seinfeld just to put the full stop on the day. But I watched Hassan Hamdan with his win over, what was his name again? I did have the results here. If I can find it. All right, so he beat Jose Luis Sauceda. So he moved to 10-0 with 3 knockouts. Sauceda dropped to 6-1 with 3 KOs. It was a decision over 6 rounds. So look, it was a gutsy win by Hamdan because he tore his left bicep, which would have been very, very painful. And after 3 rounds, I think it was, Jeff Fennick wanted to actually pull him out. And you could hear in the corner what he was saying. He said, look, mate, you know, you've done your bicep. And Hassan Hamdan was actually, I thought it was the opposite at the time, but he was actually saying it didn't hurt and he wanted to continue. I thought at the time that Jeff was actually urging him to continue fighting, and Hamdan was actually saying, no, it hurts and I can't fight. But yeah, obviously that was wrong. But a fantastic gutsy win by Hassan Hamdan. Now look, it's not. I don't think it's going to put the fear of God in the other 140 pounders out there, but still, that doesn't matter. The fact that he fought 3 rounds with a torn bicep is just amazing, and he still actually was using that jab, and it would have been painful. Now, I've never had a torn bicep before, so I don't really know what it's like, but a torn anything is going to hurt. And I knew something was wrong in the 3rd round, because at one stage he pointed to his bicep, and the referee and it didn't pick it up, and he kept sort of fighting, and then it was really obvious he was only using that right hand. He was just sort of clubbing that right hand in, and actually, good morning. And I said to my wife Tara, who was watching it with me, he's injured himself here. He's broken his hand or done something, and yeah, it was the bicep. And to go back to the corner, and he would have had an easy out. There would have been no excuses. Well, there would have been an excuse, but there would have been no issues with it from anyone, I don't think. Would have been universally accepted. Well, mate, geez, yep, okay, you tore your bicep, so yep, all good. Well, you take the L and you live to fight another day. Maybe he might have got a call back up to the Grand Prix, because apparently the losers go on the standby list and get called up if someone can't fight for any particular reason. So that would have been the case, but no, he bit down on the mouth guard and went out there and won the fight. So I had it 4 rounds to 2. There's probably a couple of close rounds in there. After 4, I actually had it even at 2 rounds apiece. So Lewis said, hey, look, he was limited, but he was tough and he was a little bit awkward. But I mean, all things aside, the fact that he was carrying an injury didn't matter what the opponent was like. He still got the win. So yeah, big tick for Hassan. And now I think the next fights are in June. So I'm not sure whether he'll be ready to fight there. I'm assuming he will. What is it, a couple of months away? Or maybe not. Maybe, you know, we'd think that you would think that he'd have to be out of action for about a month, wouldn't you, with that injury? Using that arm I'm talking about. I'm not sure the recovery period with a torn bicep, but either way, look, whether he gets another shot at it is probably irrelevant. I think he's got the experience now, and he's had a good win, and yeah, he'll hopefully go on to some bigger and better things. Now, I'm not sure how long he's got to go when he's banned, by the way, because if he didn't know, he was banned from fighting in Australia because he threw a water bottle at an official at an amateur show who I think might have went against his brother or something. I can't remember, but it was definitely for throwing a water bottle at an official. I'm just not sure what it was for, but so I'm not sure how long he's got to go, but yeah, he'll be back. And look, he's a good fighter, Hassan Hamdan. I think he's got a long, long way to go. And as I said at the start, I don't think it was any win or a performance to get the 140-pound world sort of talking about him, but a good experience for him, and it's a good concept, this WBC Grand Prix, and been some really good fighters on there. I've only seen a handful of fights, but they're all good young prospects. Most of them are undefeated. I think we've got, actually on the first night, so I haven't got it here, but the Aussie lost. What was his name? I haven't got it there, sorry about that. Or have I? Hang on. No, I'll be fiddling around too much if I go back and find it. But he did lose the first fight. And I think we've got Dylan Biggs on tonight. And also there was another Aussie. I can't remember who it is, so apologies about that, but I will check it out. And if you haven't seen it, make sure you do. It's entertaining. It's on DAZN. And as I said, there's been some really good fights on there. So get on there and check a few out. Maybe some good prospects to watch going forward. So in this day and age, it's good to have things like this. We seem to have sort of taken the shackles off as far as tradition goes in boxing, and some of it's not great, but in this particular instance, anything that'll get young fighters exposure and experience and everything else, I think it's good. So if you haven't seen it, check it out on DAZN. That's the WBC Grand Prix. All right, yesterday, now I did actually mention this, but it has been made official. July 12th in New York City, Shakur Stevenson will fight William Zepeda in defense of his WBC lightweight title. I really like this fight. I'm a fan of William Zepeda. I don't think he's as good or as menacing or whatever it might be as what a lot of people think he is, but still a very, very good fighter who's going to give Shakur Stevenson problems. Stevenson looked superbly skilled, elite in the lightweight divisions, obviously with that WBC belt. But this is going to be his biggest test to date, and I'm including Oscar Valdez in that, because this is a big, strong, lightweight who can punch, who is relentless, and has got skills. As I said, I don't think he's quite as good as what a lot of people think he is, but still, he's going to be a handful. Whether he's skilled or not, he's going to be in your face and he's going to give you all you can handle. Now, you would think that Shakur Stevenson, with his boxing skills, should be able to outbox William Zepeda, but geez, when you've got sort of suspect hands and suspect power, and you've got a Mexican bull just on you for 12 3-minute rounds, just non-stop relentlessly, can he do it? Has he got the ticker and the skills and the IQ, whatever you might want to call it, to keep Zepeda off him for 12 rounds? Now, sometimes fighters like Shakur Stevenson, with the skills they have, put on a masterclass against guys like Zepeda, who are pretty one-dimensional, and they look good doing it because they're sort of custom made for them. I don't know. I think I'm still going to put my money on Shakur Stevenson to win the fight. But, geez, it wouldn't surprise me if Zepeda really puts it on him and out-muscles him and out-hustles him and out-punches him and wins that belt. But either way, I'm glad the fight is getting made, because we need quality matchups, and there seems to be a lot of them lately, and a lot of fighters coming to the party. Of course, there's a lot more money at stake these days as well, which helps. But I'm happy that it's being made, and look forward to July 12th, because around that time there's some really good fights starting to be made, which is good. I'll tell you though, one fight that has been made that I'm not looking forward to, and again, I mentioned it yesterday, Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. are going to headline the card at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, with Zurdo Ramirez and Uniel Dorticos on the undercard. So you think they've got a double belt on the line at cruiserweight, and it's going to be the undercard fight for Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Now, look, one good thing, there is no WBA belt on the line. There was talk there was going to be a WBA regional belt there. I'm really glad that it's not, because neither one of them have done anything to deserve even a regional belt. But I don't know, like, if there are any, not that in my mind he got any credit whatsoever, but if you're going to give, if Jake Paul wants any credit from real boxing fans, I still don't know what he's doing fighting guys like Chavez and actually doing it with a serious, or with a serious look on his face, and trying not to take the piss out of us boxing fans, because Chavez Jr. is 39 years of age, hasn't had a meaningful fight for a long, long time. And it's interesting too, I've got a guy in a van, and an L plater driving around the oval by himself. Looks like he's practicing his skills, but he's in the car by himself. Not sure you're allowed to do that, are you, at L plater? But looks like he needs a few more lessons anyway. I think I'll keep clear of him. Anyway, but yeah, that's June 28th at the Anaheim Center. Really great venue too, by the way. I've been there a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, as I said, if Jake Paul wants to be taken semi-seriously, I mean, come on, there's got to be a lot of up-and-comers or journeymen or whatever it is, like all the other fighters do. I mean, that's probably the bottom line, isn't it? If you want to be treated like a proper fighter, then fight proper fighters, not 39-year-old over-the-hill former champions, and call it a legitimate fight and put it on pay-per-view, which is even more insulting. But just do what all the other fighters do. Just work your way up the rankings, earn your ranking, then the big fights will come. Now, this obviously underlines the fact that Jake Paul is not serious about being a serious fighter. He is in the entertainment industry, and this is all this is. Chavez Jr. is a name. Of course, he can say he's a former champion, so he can put that on his resume, even though, as I said, he's 10 years past his best. But I think it's blatantly obvious now, but it hasn't been in the past, that all Jake Paul is a sideshow, and all he's interested in is being a boxing version of the WWE, and is not really serious about being a legitimate boxer. Because, as I said, if he really wanted to be, he could easily just start fighting some other prospects and some journeymen and whatever, and work his way into the top 15, and then anything can happen, and then maybe he gets his world title shot, and at least he's taken seriously because of it. But at the moment, the fight Julio Cesar Chavez on a pay-per-view, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, there might be a few that might buy the pay-per-view to watch Zurdo, but against Dorticos, yeah, no, I think I'll save my money on that one. A couple other, or one other fight that's been announced, which will be a really good fight too, is in Japan. Now this is Junto Nakatani and Ryosuke Nishida, June 8th in Tokyo. Now I think it was the WBO, it was the unification, WBO, WBC and IBF, I think. There's that many belts around at the moment. I'm going to be careful here, guys. Here comes Mr. Al Plater driving himself around in his little red van. Just doing laps at the moment at the Oval too. I don't know what the hell he's doing. But yeah, that's a unification fight in the bantamweight divisions. I really admire these Japanese fighters because they just get it done. There's no showbiz about it. They just get it done. Jesus Christ, he just went past. He's given me a blank stare as he drives past. I don't know what is going on with this guy. If you're listening to this on Spotify, by the way, apologies you can't see it, but there's this, he's just doing lap after lap after lap of the footy oval with no expression, just looking straight ahead. Anyway, hope he gets the help he needs. But yeah, no, you got to admire the Japanese fighters. There's no fuss. They just fight often. They fight good fighters, and they're not scared to to take risks. And these two guys, after Junto Nakatani's fight, they got up in the ring. They respectfully bowed and shook hands, all that sort of stuff, and then agreed to fight each other. And to the word, they're going to fight each other in a big unification fight after that. So well done to both those guys, and it's a really, really good fight. Nishida will test Nakatani, but I think Nakatani still has what it takes to get that job done. Well, he's got more than what it takes to get the job done. Tenshin Nasukawa is on the undercard. He's the one that just beat our man Jason Maloney. He's going to fight Victor Santillan in the co-main event. So you would think that they'll be gearing Nasukawa up for a world title fight at some stage, probably against Nakatani. Maybe that fight happens before Nakatani fights Naoya Inoue, who's got a few things on his plate at the moment too, hasn't he? So yeah, some really good fights that are coming up in the future in that division. Now, one other thing I want to talk about is I read an article yesterday. Now, this is not going to really appeal to a lot of fight fans out there because it involves a female fighter, but it does reflect boxing in general. I'm talking about a really solid champion in the past by the name of Heather Hardy. Now, I actually met Heather at Gleason's gym in New York about 10 years ago when we were over there with Shannon O'Connell. She fought in Canada, so we stopped at Gleason's for a few training sessions. And very, very well known in the New York area, Heather Hardy. I think she had the WBC featherweight title as well, so former world champion. And she had a lot of fights. She went to MMA at one stage. Looked like a lot of fighters, took a lot of punishment, was knocked out a couple of times. And these days she's really battling with, like a lot of fighters do, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's just her, but really battling now with brain injuries. She's got no peripheral vision. Her balance is off. She'll be, and the Gleason's gym have given her a job there, so she works with PTs and some fighters and that sort of stuff. So they've looked after her in that respect. But like a lot of fighters, she's really struggled financially. Just sort of been thrown on the scrap heap, and now she's been left to her own devices. And with she's a single mother as well with a daughter. And she's been left to her own, to fend for herself in life, which again is not rare, but it just highlights, I suppose, what happens to boxers after they're finished. And she tells a story of, in her opinion, or there we go, she's gone past again in the little red van. But she told the story of, Lou DiBella, who helped her initially and then has dropped her. I mean, I don't know whether he's supposed to look after her for her entire life, but so I think it's a bit rough on Lou DiBella. But she said that he sort of dropped her after he'd sort of finished with her because he was a promoter right through her career. And now she's, as I said, she's got brain issues. She's got like all the mood swings and all that a lot of fighters get. And it's just a real shame. And why I'm probably mentioning it is that, again, I've said this in the past, that there needs to be something done in professional boxing to to have something in place for them when it's all over. Now, in a lot of sports, they have things there. I know the WBC actually have a program where they can help fighters financially, and I think she has had some help from them, which is good. But I have mentioned in the past my idea, and I stand by it. Now, at the moment, there's nothing in place. The promoters, they're like subcontractors. So they turn up, they fight, they get paid, and then when it's over, it's like, thanks, nice knowing you, and they move on. This is the promoters I'm talking about. My idea that I had a while ago, and I think it's a good system, is that here in Australia we have the superannuation system where if you have an employee, you pay them a percentage. I think it's up to about 12% now, but not that it'd have to be that high, of their salary. Okay, so, and it goes into a fund that they can't touch until they're 60, 65, whatever it might be. And at least they've got something after they finish. Now, this is a little bit different because a lot of them, they don't have the same employer for forever, or whatever it might be, and they go from promoter to promoter, a lot of them. But my idea was to have it so that this could even be a worldwide thing, or whatever it might be. Maybe different countries adopt the program, but part of the deal with having a promoter's license is when you pay a fighter, there is this superannuation system in place where it might be 10%. Okay, so, and it might vary a little bit. If you get those big $30 million paydays, well, that's probably a bit different. They probably don't need it. It's probably for the ones under a certain amount of money. So it might be under, a couple $100,000 or whatever it might be, but it's 10% they have to be paid into a fund that they can't touch until their careers are over. So for instance, you've got a fighter that gets paid 10 grand. Well, the promoter has to put an extra $1,000 on top of that goes into a fund that goes into an account that's there for you after. It's just like the superannuation. You're able to get it when you turn 60 or 65, or you have medical issues or financial troubles or whatever it might be, but at least there's something there for you. And it could be just a quite simple formula where whatever you get paid, the promoters have to put 10% into some sort of fund or an account. Now, I think I did sort of mention it, even if there was some sort of fund set up that people controlled, and that's when I sort of stopped myself. Because as soon as you've got other people, people that control it, and you've got boards and committees and all this sort of bullshit, that's when it all goes out the window and you have dramas and money goes missing and all the rest of it. I'm talking about some sort of government sort of, or an ironclad thing that's ruled by the government that you can't touch it. Now, I know it gets a little bit tricky when you've got people from fighting in different parts of the world, so it will probably be up to the countries to implement. But the civilized countries, or the major boxing countries like the US and England and Australia and a lot of countries in Europe and all that sort of stuff, I don't see why it couldn't be implemented, where it's a simple thing that's set up, and with the superannuation accounts, and not, even though of course they have CEOs and boards and that sort of stuff, it is ironclad. No one can get your money without without you taking it out when you're 60 or 65. So I think it would be a good program to run, where 10% of the purse under a certain amount, because if it's a $10 million purse, where you can't be putting $1 million into it if you're a promoter, but as I said, it might be under a certain amount, which might be a couple of $100,000, whatever, and they've got to pay 10%. Put it in there, and who knows, if a fighter has X amount of fights, and there might be $50,000 there for them, which is better than nothing. Because at the moment it's just like, thanks for your service, geez, you're a great fighter, you've had some great fights, but when we've moved on, good luck with everything. And then you get a fighter that's got major troubles, and they're left to just deal with them by themselves, and relying on the charity of people in the industry, or friends and family and all this sort of stuff. And I just think it's wrong. They just get forgotten about. I mean, I think most other sports have got something in place. Boxing has got nothing. So I'm not saying it's the perfect plan, but geez, it's better than nothing at the moment, isn't it? I mean, the other thing is, this is the thing, I know I'm probably waffling on a bit today. I've mentioned it before as well. In the States, when you go to a fight in Nevada, so Las Vegas, or wherever it might be, there is a dollar amount on the ticket that you pay. Okay, so this is maybe another way to get around it. So when you say you buy a ticket for $1,000, whatever it might be, $500, whatever, there on your ticket, I think it's $2. It goes to the Amateur Boxing Board of Nevada, and it goes towards the amateur boxing body. Why couldn't there be a thing on tickets as well, where, I reckon you could even put $5 on every ticket. There's all these other fees and charges they could put on these days, isn't there? Why not a $5 or even $3, $4, whatever it might be, that goes to the participants on the card and whatever it might be, and it goes into that fund as well. I mean, geez, you get some of these big crowds at some of these fights, and just a few bucks off each ticket, it adds up really, really quick. So I reckon there's ways to do it. They obviously just need someone or somebody or whatever to get the ball rolling and get this thing done. Maybe it's the promoters that got to band it together. Maybe there needs to be a fighters union or a fighters association. Happens in a lot of sports as well. There is nothing to represent the boxers at the moment, and I just think that boxers they probably train the hardest of any athlete out there. They put their life on the line every time they go in the ring, and they've got nothing to back them up once it's all over. So I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud anyway, in a perfect world. But wouldn't you think in this day and age, it's 2025, and all the technology and advancements and everything that we've done over the journey, and the one sport that hasn't really been able to evolve in that area is boxing, the one sport that really needs it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for today anyway. If you've got any suggestions, let me know. It's a talking point that I think needs to be raised. And surely there's some really powerful guys in the industry that really care about the sport. And this could be something an Oscar De La Hoya or a Bob Arum, or, even the saviour of boxing these days, Turki Al Sheikh, could do, is have some sort of program that helps the boxers out once they're finished. But anyway, and before, this is the thing I was going to end on, but this is the thing that surprises me the most, is why it hasn't happened, is we all profess to, our love for the sport and everything, but no one's doing anything to help the people that make the sport what it is. And I know the rich fighters, all the superstars, they get more than looked after. But there's a hell of a lot of good fighters out there that have really given us a lot of joy over the years and get nothing. So anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoy your Saturday and the public holidays you'll get for the next couple of days as well. But there are some fights over the weekend as well. But again, check out the Grand Prix, and there's a few other fights on as well. So guys, have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.